Okay, welcome to another Let's Play. There's that. Welcome to another Let's Play of, well, this is Dragon Age Origins. Obviously, my series of Let's Plays has been focused on retro RPGs. There can be little question that Dragon Age Origins is now definitely retro. It does fall outside of the silver age of computer role-playing games, so that makes it a bit different to the others, I think. Dragon Age, when it was released, was described as the spiritual successor to Baldur's Gate. And a lot of people, myself included, at the time felt that was nonsense. It's nothing like Baldur's Gate in terms of its mechanics, and we, shook our fists at the cloud over this. In hindsight, maybe we were missing the point a little bit. Where Dragon Age Origins is very much a successor to Baldur's Gate is in its turn that down, not off. Is in its tone. You know, it gets the feel of those games right, and I think that maybe the tone of those games was to a certain extent standardized at the time, which meant that was kind of harder for us to see. It was only when, like, with the popularity of games like Oblivion and obviously later Skyrim, that we realised that, yeah, okay, maybe there is a certain link between this and Baldur's Gate. Dragon Age Origins, I played back in the day, and I gave it a sort of 6 out of 10 rating. There are parts of Dragon Age that I really, really like, and there are parts of Dragon Age that I absolutely hate, like really just despise. So we're going to see all these as we proceed. Obviously, there's recently been a new Dragon Age game released. This is actually the only one I ever played. The second one sort of took a step away from any concept of or notion of being a tactical RPG, and then from then on I just never really went back into it. So yeah. The other thing to say is this spiel I've been given. It's the third time I've done this. I have started up this Let's Play 3 times, and the first time was late on a Saturday night, and I was just not in a remotely fit state to be Let's Playing, and so I did another one, and I got halfway through the origin story before realising that the recording camera, for lack of a better term, actually, is this still quite low? Has this been turned up? Sorry, just but the screen was just way off. Sorry, I just need to set those settings. That looks a bit more favourable. Hopefully you can still hear me. And you were not seeing most of the screen, so that had to go. So we'll start a new game. We'll not do the expansion, at least not yet. Oh god, yeah, this. Right, have fun with this. Forgive me if I don't watch it for a third time in 24 hours.
The Chantry teaches us that it is the hubris of men which brought the Darkspawn into our world. The mages had sought to usurp heaven, but instead they destroyed it. They were cast out, twisted and cursed by their own corruption. They returned as monsters, the first of the Darkspawn. They became a blight upon the lands, unstoppable and relentless. The Dwarven kingdoms were the first to fall, and from the deep roads, the Darkspawn drove at us again and again, until finally we neared annihilation. Until the Grey Wardens came. Men and women from every race, warriors and mages, barbarians and kings. The Grey Wardens sacrificed everything to stem the tide of darkness, and prevailed. It has been 4 centuries since that victory, and we have kept our vigil. We have watched and waited for the Darkspawn to return. But those who once called us heroes have forgotten. We are few now, and our warnings have been ignored for too long. For I have seen with my own eyes what lies on the horizon. Maker, help us all.
Right, well, I don't know who she is, but you know, we shouldn't have to make her help us all. Irrespective of that. The background you select will determine which of the 6 distinct opening stories you play through. It also affects how characters respond to you throughout the game. Note it. You can choose your gender, you can choose your race, humans, elves, dwarves, standard fantasy fare, and you can choose your class. So fighters, mages and rogues, these kind of there's sort of like a subclass within these, so eventually you'll be able to decide the type of fighter. It doesn't use, I don't think it uses terms like, you know, ranger or paladin, but you can sort of sub-specialise, so it's not quite as narrow as these 3. And then, having chosen these 2, you get to choose your starting story. And this is something I really like. That I think the Dragon Age does this very well. The origin stories, they offer variation, but a lot of games from this period, you know, you choose your starting whatever, and it might affect things at the end of the game. And I actually think having this at the start, you know, it just gives that little bit more value in terms of how you go about things in terms of constructing a game. So this is a definite plus for Dragon Age. I think back in the day I've done all of these. Some of them more or less recently. The races don't make a terrific amount of difference. There is still I would say a reactionary, like, anti-Tolkien elves thing going on, where dwarves get more buffs than anyone else, and the elves are in a fairly crappy spot for anything other than mages. And indeed, in the narrative, they are cast as like an underclass as opposed to the semi-angelic elves of Lord of the Rings. As for the classes, there are different classes, and they all have different strengths and weaknesses. For example, mages are good at this game, where fighters and rogues are not. So, again, in the tradition of Baldur's Gate. Initially, my first playthrough, I was going to do it as a mage, because it is... There's a little bit of a learning curve, and then once you get past that, they're just better. They're just the best class. But I did this background. The mages only get one. It overwrites the others. It's a very well written and good background story. But perhaps asking a bit much for us to go through it again. Well, I don't know. We'll see on that. The next one I made was an elvish rogue, which meant I did the Dalish elf story, and then, as I say, there was errors and issues with the screen size. So I don't particularly want to go through that one again. That leaves the rather grim one of the city elf, with all the it's called Droit de Signier, or that, I'm not terribly sure that excites me. If we go dwarves, we can do dwarf commoner and dwarf noble. If we go humans, we down to human noble, which I think was the very first one I ever did. I think my first character back in the day when I was just out of adolescence, well, at the tail end of adolescence, I played a human noble fighter, and unlike Baldur's Gate, where somebody like that would be doing half of the damage for the party, it was a dual wielder. They were quite underwhelming, and I had to basically rely on Morrigan for support. Oh, in terms of the party composition, I don't want to take. We'll be switching people in and out, but there are some people I just never used back in the day. It'd be nice to see what they're like. Most of the Morrigan aside, the obviously sort of evil folks in the old D&D morality axes. But yeah, I took, when I was young, I took Alistair, Morrigan, and Liliana, I think. You'll feel the adolescence coming off that. Morrigan and Alistair, really good, well-written characters, I felt, at the time. They were some of my favourites. Liliana, to a lesser extent than that. But we'll have those in our party for some bits. We're going to need Morrigan for some of the harder fights if we get to those points. But by and large, we'll do something different. I might take Alistair purely for romance. Maybe we'll do a female playthrough, and we can have the excruciating detail of the romance with Alistair. Although, to be honest, I recall, other than the actual mechanic of just giving them stuff until they like you, which may or may not hold true in real life. This is not a dating tutorial. I remember some of the writing with Morrigan particularly being like pleasingly dissatisfying. I liked Morrigan. I thought she was a character with personality. Not that we're going to use that. So I guess our options are either, well, first off, before we start with race, we might as well start with class. So we are, if we're human, we're restricted to noble. So So, yeah. I think we're going to go elf or dwarf. I think I'm leaning towards dwarf now because I haven't done that for a while. And then in terms of this one, we're going to have Alistair, so I guess we're pretty much railroaded. But see, the trouble with this is if we don't take a mage, then it means we have to take Win. And Win she's a bit of a personality vacuum. So Elvish Mage or Dwarven Rogue. I think it's going to be Dwarven Rogue. I think it's going to be Dwarven Rogue, Dwarf Commoner.
Greetings.
Not terribly optimal, but there it is. You can customise the living shit out of this, and if it was me on my own, I would. As it is, I am just going to use this. Just quickly enjoying the expression thing. Yep, there we go. We'll do that. Can we maybe just this, and I think the background would be nice. So we've got like a silver one. That'll do. Natia is the randomly generated name. Seems reasonable.
I have lost concentration.
Okay.
How do you do?
Greetings. Greetings. Charmed.
Yeah.
Greetings. Oh, my spell!
How do you do?
Cocky. That sounds like us. Right. Okay. So it's rogue. At 1 point in cunning. 5 points in strength, and then we'll let the levels decide after this. So we start with stealing. That's good. Coercion is excellent with a. Oh, we could have got quite a few others, but I mean, she's going to be the talker. Deft hands for locks. That is obvious. Stealth. Automatic critical. Yeah, I'll do that. Difficulty level will be normal.
Deep beneath the Frostback Mountains sits Orzammar, largest and proudest of the two remaining dwarven cities. Once the seat of an underground empire, Orzammar now stands alone, cut off from the world by the Darkspawn, still clinging to the memory of its former glory. Below the vast statues and gilded halls where the noble families play at politics, the lower castes live in their shadows, scurrying to serve like their ancestors before them. Below that is you. You are casteless, the dirty secret staining Orzammar's perfect society, forced, along with your sister, to sell your services to the crime lord Barat. To the rest of Orzammar, you are proof that the casteless deserve their fate. But you know you do what you have to, the same as everyone, just to survive.
Sick.
I can't keep gambling on you forever, Precious. You've got a sweet look, something to light a man on fire. But you gotta make it count.
Please, Barat. I don't want to do this in front of my sister.
Why not? She knows the slope of the land, don't you, girl? You told me a lot of things, not one of which meant more than a fart in a mittens. Before me, your sister was just another duster. Now check her out. Braids down to here, gold cap teeth. She can recite elf poetry and play the string harp. Every man's dream. All she's gotta do is find a lord, squeeze out some kid who looks like him, and we're all living the easy life in the Diamond Quarter.
Please, don't get involved. You know that never goes well.
I'll treat her however I like, as long as you both eat off my plate. You keep your head down and say aye to any job I decide is low enough for scum like you. In return, I put out coins so you can doll yourself up and get a belly full of some nobleman's brats. Then you both go free, and I get to join the family and be called my lord for the rest of the little prince's life. That's what everyone likes. A castless with a big mouth. But I didn't come for the joy of your company. I've been looking at my investments, and this one hasn't borne much gold. I'm giving you another week, Precious. If you haven't found a patron, you're back to sweeping streets.
But I have. I've met someone. That is, I didn't want to promise, but he seemed interested.
Your buddy Lesky's waiting outside. He knows what I'll need from you today. Don't even think about bungling this job. Your whole family's on loose sand with me right now. And I know you don't have anywhere else to turn.
Yeah, I got two big
I'm sorry you had to
daggers,
see that.
so...
I've always tried, though. At least I've kept you from buying your future with what's between your legs. I should have told you. Barat's been warning me ever since two of his other girls found patrons at Lord Harrowmont's reception. They've been getting gifts already. Lord Rooston gave Elsie a surface silk gown and she's not even pregnant. Barat's getting impatient. You know the other options. Cleaning middens, begging, going to the surface. No. Unless you find a way to save us all from Darkspawn and become a paragon. We're pretty much on Barat's leash for life. It's sheer folly. One more way the nobles protect their status. They say casteless soldiers are more danger to each other than to Darkspawn. That it's an insult to the smith to let us touch a fine-made weapon. Truly, they just don't wish to insult the warrior caste by showing that given the same opportunities, we could lead an army just as well. Every year, more of the beasts come up from the deep roads. I've heard they've even been harrying the surface. Aye. They would even turn to humans for aid before us, it seems. There's been talk of an alliance against the Darkspawn. Even that the Grey Wardens have stepped up. But we don't have time for this now. Lesky must be waiting, and Barat won't like it if I'm late for my appointment.
It's very big of the Grey Wardens to get involved and help with literally their only job.
Money gives him power. He's got family on the surface, which means he can smuggle up lyrium and smithcrafts, and bring down silks, wines, and furs. And he played it smart. When he started expanding, he made sure it was only the casteless he shook down for protection, so the guardsmen didn't care.
Yeah. Okay, come.
As far as the nobles are concerned, he still stinks of Dust Town. He's got money now, but you can't buy caste, you know? No noblewoman would risk a dalliance with him. His only chance to join a noble family is to claim kinship with a concubine who bears a noble's son. And that's what he wants more than anything. Don't you? Imagine what it would be like not to have people look at us like we're sewer sludge. To think our lives are worth something. It wouldn't be the first time. Garelon the Blood Risen was born casteless, you know, before he went to the surface. And he came back and won the throne. Many paragons have humble origins. All that matters is that the Assembly recognizes their achievements. And once they get that vote, they found their own house, and are as noble as if the ancestors themselves had made it so.
Imagine.
Oh, don't pay attention to her. She's just a bitter old drunk. She also said you'd never learn to walk, or stop dumping in the bed. Make something of yourself just to spite her.
Maybe I will.
Maybe you will. But until then, we can only serve as Barat demands. And he won't like it if either of us is late. Stay out of trouble. I'll see you tonight.
Right, sick. Okay, so... What?
All right. Huh.
What? Are you too busy tutorializing to let me open this?
And I'm off. Yes.
Okay. Not quite sure what that's about. Oh yeah, let's have a quick moan. Blood Dragon Plate. Yeah, because I think we've got the Game of the Year edition or whatever, we start with that. I wish games wouldn't do that. I was moaning on one of the other playthings about.
Who's that? Why are you bothering me? Rika? Don't you talk to me like I'm an idiot. You think I don't know my own kid? What are you doing here anyway? Rika said you were finally making something useful of yourself.
This is me, by the way, if I'm in the game. She's great.
What? You thought you'd get a seat on the assembly? Do what you're good for. Get your head in the smoke. Your father was like that too. Aye. Left me with 2 screaming mouths to feed, not a coin on the table. Had to join the clean crew for the smoke vents. Spent 10 years in those chimneys, soot a finger thick all over my body. All for you. So, you gonna show some sort and gratitude, or do I have to beat it out of you? It was for your own good. The world's a cruel place. You had to learn that. You think you'd be where you are now if I'd let you hide from a few slaps? Everything you are, I made you. You think it's that easy? You think you could just walk out of here? You'll always end up back in Dust Town. Oh, I shouldn't keep doing this to you. I know I shouldn't. It's just so hard. Hey, where's she going? Why's she leaving? Don't leave me!
Never mind, Mother. Why don't you just lie down? That's good.
Yeah. Well.
All right.
It is kind of like that.
About sodding time. I was starting to think I'd have to bust in and get an eyeful of that spicy sister of yours. Growl. Oh, what can I say? No money, no girls, no place to call my own. I've been writing an epic poem about it. It starts, "Oh, you're really, really cursed to have no caste. You noble dwarves can shove it up your..." But I couldn't think of a rhyme. I'm not seeing Court Bard in your future either. I guess we'll have to stick to playing the heavies for Barat. Boss says we're out for a search and discipline. One of his smugglers is holding out on him. Name's Oskias, some surfacer. Barat got word that he's been selling shipments topside that never make it to Barat's ears down here. He wants us to find the rotter and see what goods he's holding back. All he told me is find him. Duster's got some family from the merchant caste. He's probably staying near their quarters. You know, gold, lyrium, spices. Anything that Barat might cut someone's head off to get. Well, if he is skimming, we kill him, of course. I mean, Barat doesn't let anyone swindle him and live. Bringing his head on a plate is completely optional, though. We're not just killing him. First we take back anything he stole, and then we kill him. Come on, you can feel bad later. Whatever lets you sleep at night, my friend.
Cool. Alright, sick. So begins Dragon Age. Right, okay, so we've got somebody with us. I don't know much in the way of details about them. This is the slums. Hopefully everybody's vibing appropriately.
Spare Silver. My boy needs medicine. The docs say he won't wake without it.
Don't look at me like that.
I was beautiful once. I was beautiful.
Same.
Stand back!
can relate to that as well. Yeah, we'll gather our party and venture forth. Trying not to focus on the time that I was once beautiful, as opposed to now. Where, look like a cat had vomited in his shoe. Oh, good. Oh, good, oh, good, oh, good.